The one, the only, Mr. Bill O'Reilly joins us now. Bill, did you see this?
Beck,
Did you see the speech from Kelly yesterday?
Yes. You left one thing out, though, which is really the crux of all the savagery, and that's the word, savagery, that's going on in this country right now, and that's the media. What happened was that 24 hours before the president made the call to the widow of the slain soldier in Niger, the family knew the president was going to call because you have to give them a heads up and find out where they're going to be and all of that. Then the family apparently alerts this Congresswoman Wilson. Why? Would you, if it were your son, Beck, would you alert any politician
Never.
that you were going to get a call from the president?
Never.
I wouldn't. Okay, so who would do that? What's the point of that? So then the call comes in, and they're in a car, apparently, on a speakerphone. And the president was disregarding the advice of General Kelly as chief of staff, because General Kelly said, listen, the family's grieving. No matter what you say is not really going to make a difference, and it's a very difficult situation for any president to be in. But you said, to his credit, and I agree with that, but Donald Trump said, look, I want to try. I want to try to give them words of sympathy.
Look,
and it is an honor to get a call from the President of the United States.
It is, and I will tell you this as a sidebar. We were all very, very upset. At least I was. Taya Kyle wasn't, but I was very upset, and I asked Taya Kyle for a year. Has the president reached out at all? I mean, here's this great hero. Has the president reached out at all? Now, she didn't want the call, but still, it is something that a president should do.
Well, you're talking about President Obama.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Yeah, and he didn't, because there is no protocol that is in stone. I think there should be, and that's what I said on BillO'Reilly.com yesterday. There should be a way to handle these kinds of things that always happens. Now, I don't think that should require a phone call.
No, I don't think so either. No.
But the president is a commander-in-chief. He has the option to do that.
Yes.
So anyway, so the call comes into the limo, and they're all in the limo, and according to General Kelly, President Trump was trying to tell the widow that her husband was a hero because he voluntarily put his life at risk for his country. That was the theme of the call. He's a hero. He voluntarily, and I guess they used the word signed up, he knew the danger, but he did it anyway because he wanted to protect his country, which is a noble sentiment. Okay, so then the call's over. Within, 10 minutes, this congresswoman is calling into CNN. That can't happen spontaneously, Beck. That's got to be planned in advance. You can't just call up a major network and say, I want to be on your air. They got to vet you. They got to know who you are, all of that. So you can't tell me this wasn't a setup. It was an absolute setup. That is a huge story. The second huge story is, as they always do, the barbarians on the cable news and broadcast news believe every word Wilson says. Okay, like they were there. Even though Wilson, incredibly, admits, well, I didn't hear the whole phone call. How could you not possibly hear the home phone call if it's in a car on a speakerphone and you're sitting there? So right away, her credibility is zero. So I'm watching the cable news, and I'm seeing these hit one after the other, after the other. Oh, what a disgrace. This is horrible. He's insensitive. He's this, he's that. This is talking about Trump. They don't know what happened. They couldn't possibly know. Yet they use this once again to divide the country in a hateful way. And it's on them. It's on them. This media we have now is as corrupt as any time in our republic. This is off the chart, from the newspapers to the television programs to the internet. It is corrupt in the extreme, and it is harming the United States. No question.
Okay, so I want to go back to that. You sound like you're speaking with some passion there.
I'm really teed off.
No,
Beck.
I know you are.
I mean, I really am. I got to deal with this personally. I got to deal with this kind of crap all the time. You do. Anybody that doesn't toe the far left line is in danger now. I mean,
Bill,
I
will
so
tell you
out of control.
I will tell you.
So out of control.
I will tell you that we have spoken off the air about my. I had a day in court in Boston on the Boston bombing, and I had good government sources, and the government knew exactly what sources. And someday, some journalist, well, no, they won't. Someday, I will just write a book, I guess, with this in it. But I have all of the documents. I have all of the transcripts from the trial. I have absolutely everything, including the ability to speak about the trial, because that was part of one of the conditions of the settlement. But I will tell you, it's not just the media. It is the government is corrupt. You cannot defend yourself if the government won't respond and abide by the constitutional constraints. And they don't. You have no way to defend yourself.
The only, and I sympathize because you were at Fox News Channel when you broke that story. And I am familiar with the story, and I know you didn't make it up. And I know you were going on people in the government telling you certain things. So that's absolutely true. But I don't have any expectation that the United States government would do anything for anybody at any time. Zero expectation on that. But what we have here is the President of the United States is now in a position where the media, about 80 to 90% of it, wants to destroy him.
Yes.
When has that ever happened? How can you run a democracy when the media doesn't care about the truth or any kind of accurate reportage? Their whole bent every single day is to destroy the leader of the country.
Yeah, I don't know how you can run a democracy, let alone a republic like ours.
I mean, it is shameful and disgraceful. And the politicians on both sides, they're scrambling for cover. They go, I don't want to be in this. I give Kelly a lot of credit. I said on BillO'Reilly.com yesterday, look, you expect the chief of staff to defend his boss, the president. You expect that. Okay? So we have to listen to what Kelly has to say very closely, as you pointed out. But what he brought to the explanation was logic. Here's what was said and why it was said. And then his disgust with this congresswoman who hates Trump, trying to make it a political issue. But he didn't take it the step further, is that the media immediately grabbed onto this corrupt congresswoman, and ran with it. That's what they always do. And it's just sickening.
So, Bill, here we are. We're looking at this corrupt media. Do you see a way out of this?
I don't. I mean, I've been in this business 43 years, and I try to run an honest program, as do you. I wouldn't be appearing here every Friday if I thought you weren't. I'm trying to run an honest enterprise at BillO'Reilly.com. And look at things and verify things and check things out. And if I can't get it, I don't say it. But you put on these cables and they don't, I'm not going to use an obscenity, but you know what I'm talking about. They couldn't care less. It's, we're going to get Trump. Going to get him today. Here's how we're going to get him. Tomorrow we'll get him this way. And we'll get O'Reilly, we'll get Beck, we'll get Limbaugh, we'll get Hannity, we'll get anybody we disagree with. We'll get them.
So do you believe that the right is, some people in the right are engaging in this same behavior? We'll get the left, we'll get the media. Doesn't matter who they are or what they've done.
Certainly there, in the Hillary Clinton situation, there's an element of that. And I'm not sympathetic to Mrs. Clinton. Okay, I'm not. I think she's an imperious woman, word of the day, imperious. who lost the election because people flat out didn't like her. And I really, I mean, if there's one person I would not want to dine with, it would be her. Okay, I just don't have any use for her at all. But there is an element on the right that incorporates some of these scorched earth, I hate you tactics. But it's not even in the same universe as organized and funded as it is on the far left. It's individuals on the far right. Okay? So you can't make the comparison because they don't have the megaphone, number one. They don't have the organized cabal. And, there are various websites like Breitbart and Daily Caller and something like that. They do their thing, but it's not nearly what it is when you have Comcast, NBC, you have CNN. I mean, these are huge, huge conglomerates. So I don't think there's any comparison.
Okay, back with Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com in just a second.
Glenn Beck.
Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com talking about General Kelly's speech yesterday. And, Bill, I want to hit one more thing here before we move on, and that is his question, is there anything sacred anymore?
I don't think that's a question that can be answered in a specific way. I mean, I think most Americans are decent people, and to them there are things that are sacred. But I hate to keep going back and being boring, but to the media, no, there isn't. Politicians, again, it's a case by case basis. But there are good people, and there are people who understand that the world is not a place where trying to destroy people should be your main focus. And I think folks are getting disgusted. I'm waiting for the backlash, Beck. I'm waiting for the backlash. I think it's going to come.
What do you think the backlash
against the media?
And how would that manifest itself?
Well, it'll be ratings. You're seeing it in the NFL. There's a backlash against the NFL. You're seeing the ratings down fairly significantly, and also marketing and merchandising. I think you're going to see a backlash against the media because people are disgusted with it.
So what is the replacement? Because I'm afraid that the backlash comes and then you just don't believe anything or anyone, and so you just unplug. That's not good.
No, it's not. And, I think people will what they call look in. They'll look in on occasion. The newspaper industry is dead. Good. Time Magazine, Newsweek, dead. Good. Television's still there, but declining. So they'll look in on their machines, on their devices, on the internet. They'll look in. But I really think that people have had it.
Well, people in Media Matters are already in the halls of Facebook and Twitter and everyone else. Google.
Yeah, you're never going to get a square play on the net. It's just a convenience thing. I mean, just so people know, I go to CBSNews.com in the morning because they give me a headline service that's useful. Sometimes their articles are ridiculous, but I know immediately when I'm getting conned. I go to thehill.com to get the Washington stuff. I write for them, and they're fairly fair. They have both sides.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Okay. Bill O'Reilly
That's about it for me.
From BillO'Reilly.com. More of the news of the week and his perspective without the spin. BillO'Reilly.com. Coming up more in a minute.
Glenn Beck. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com is joining us. Bill, let me give you something from the Wall Street Journal. Now, the Wall Street Journal is the most liberal paper in America, I mean mainstream paper, when it comes to the news. However, its editorial section is not. And in the editorial section, I don't know if you saw this, Donald Trump may be following Palin's trajectory. And I'd like to get your thought on this. In this,
I didn't see the piece yet, so just tell me what the theme was.
Okay, so here it is. In this day, like Sarah Palin supporters who saw her lack of intellectual polish as proof of her sincerity, but in time she lost a place through annexed statements, intellectual thinness, and general strangeness. The same may happen or be happening with Donald Trump. And what they're saying is, what you liked about Sarah was she was just, one of us saying it like it is. And then after a while, that started to wear really thin. And you're like, I don't think there's anything behind this. And then the theatrics and everything else. And it just wore thin. And she is nowhere.
All right. I know both people pretty well. Particularly Trump. I wouldn't say I know Sarah Palin that well, but I've been around her enough to be able to evaluate her. It's an unfair comparison. There's no similarity in intellect between Donald Trump and Sarah Palin. Trump is a much wider frame of reference than Ms. Palin. There is similarity, and they're both populists. And they both tailored their message to the folks, and they both can't stand the media. So they're similar. But if the Palin thing was going to happen to Trump, it would have happened already. All right. Trump's problem is that his wording sometimes is imprecise. All right. It's not as exact as it has to be for a president. He just wanders too much. Ms. Palin didn't really know that much as far as history is concerned, or her country. And when Katie Couric asked her about what she read, she couldn't really articulate that. So there's a big difference between Trump's life experience and what he's accomplished and what Sarah Palin has accomplished.
Next story. Transgender Wyoming woman convicted Thursday of sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl inside a bathroom. Michelle Martinez, formerly known as Miguel Martinez, before identifying as a female, found guilty first-degree and second-degree sexual abuse of a minor, could face 70 years in prison. Martinez, who was a family friend, invited the girl into the bathroom on March 23rd, touched her, penetrated her. The girl told her mother immediately. Martinez, when questioned by police, became notably hostile and defensive, said the girl was just talking crap before denying being a child molester. He is also calling accusations a publicity stunt. He has pleaded not guilty on both counts.
What do you want me to say about, this is a heinous thing. All Americans should want justice, so let it play out. I mean, it's really, I don't think you can take one or two situations and make any general points. What I will say is that the pressure from the politically correct precincts and the ACLU to force public schools and public facilities to allow people who were born one gender to go into a locker room of another gender is insane. And there is an easy solution, whereas you make a third facility for transgendered people to use. And you would think that they would want privacy anyway, so make a facility. It costs a little money, but in this PC world, that's the solution to the problem. So I'm not big on generalizing from a specific heinous situation. I don't think that's fair, and I want to be fair. But I think that this movement for America to do things that are not in the best interests of children and are not based in common sense common sense says you build a third facility. So that's my take.
President Trump releases petition requesting support on standing during the national anthem. I read this morning, and he came out yesterday and said, "I want to know who is patriot enough to stand and pledge to stand during the national anthem. I've issued a petition." And I thought it was a little strange, and then I saw where the URL leads, and it's to the GOP.
I'm gonna comment on that, but I want you to answer the next question on Killing England, my number one book, because it plays into this, and I don't want your audience to think that I'm crass and in using the question about the anthem to promote my book. Okay.
All right. Well, you're not the boss of me.
I want you to set it up rather than me be a doofus.
This is probably, if this is the way we're going to run this show, this is probably something you should have said before we went on the air. It's a little it's a little less crass.
I want to be honest to your folks. I want them to know the interaction
All right.
Okay. National anthem. No question Donald Trump's using it for political benefit. Everybody got that? Because he's already come out and he's already said he believes that everybody should respect the flag and the anthem. Most Americans concur. Word of the day, concur.
No, yeah. Right? The other was the word of the day.
And he won. He won it. All right? So he's on the side of apple pie and goodness and flag and anthem. Mm-hmm. Okay, enough. Enough. You're the president. We need a tax cut. All right? You don't have to keep going back. We don't need a petition. We don't need to go trick-or-treating dressed up like the flag. Okay? We don't need it. We got it. You won. There's my take.
All right.
Now, Killing England. Go.
You're not the boss of me. The budget that they passed yesterday, only one GOP person voted against it, Rand Paul.
Of course.
There's no cuts, real cuts to this. How do you feel about the Republicans?
I'm not surprised because the Republican Party knows there's only one thing that's going to save it at this point, and that's the tax revision and the working people getting the $4,000 average into their pockets. So if they have to spend more money to get that, which is what the trade is, okay, they're going to do it. So there's no surprise here.
I don't think there's any trade.
It's all about tax cuts.
Yeah, I don't think there's any trade. Okay, tell me about killing England.
England. Okay, number one book, knocked off Hillary Clinton in the New York Times bestsellers 3 weeks running, which is amazing because I don't have the platform I used to have to market the book. But the reason... Well, you're and you've been very generous, Beck. You really have. I mean, I have to say.
All right.
And there's no kickback, although I did send Beck a free book, which
I don't believe you. I don't believe you did.
No, I did. I sent you a free book.
Did you sign it?
Yes, I signed it.
You did not.
I just put one N in Glenn.
Yeah.
No,
right.
I spelled your name correctly. But look, the reason I'm trying to get people's attention on this is because I obviously want the book to be successful, but I want you to compare George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin, the 3 central characters in our revolution, to what we have now. I mean, it's unbelievable, the difference in every single way: intellect, character, courage, and right down the line. When you get through reading about these men who gave us this unbelievable freedom that we have, that's now being abused, by the way, but we have it. When you read about this suffering, they went through this suffering and what they actually did, and you compare it to these weasels that we've put into power. I mean, across the board. I mean, there's some good people,
but also the weasels.
Most of them are just
Also, the weasels that we have become. I mean, we don't really demand the highest standards from ourselves anymore as a people.
Well, you're generalizing, though. I'm going back to there are people who do that. And it wasn't uniform back in 1775, 76.
I know that.
half of the colonists wanted to stay with the insane king.
I know.
And they wanted to do it, most of them, for money reasons. Not for, because they believed in the monarchy. They were cowards. So human nature is human nature. I always say that. But I think the majority of Americans do want high standards and are good people. I don't know if I differ from you or what on that.
I'm not sure anymore. I would have said yes to that, but I'm not sure anymore. I'm not sure that we're much different than we were in the colonies, with the exception of that we are also we have. There was an overwhelming understanding back then of some morality. Some things were sacred to a majority of people, and I don't know if that's true at all anymore.
Well, we're certainly more fragmented and scattered, and our focus is not on other people. I mean, I did a thing last night for Philadelphia a radio station where the subject of religion came up because religion is under fire in this country, as everybody knows. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're a believer and you live in Los Angeles or New York, they think you're a kook. If you go to church every Sunday, people look at you like, what's wrong with you? Certainly, back then, that was not the case. And so there is a big difference. The secular progressives have power. They have power. And they're using it because the media sympathizes with them and they get their message out. And it's easy for them to get their message out. So you're right in that sense that there's been a big erosion in, treating your neighbor as yourself, putting other people ahead of you. How often do we hear that these days? Yeah,
not very often at all. Bill, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, Beck, and I did send you a free Killing England, so you find it in all of your stuff. You find that book.
Right. I'll find it after you send it. Bill O'Reilly from Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. Number one book, 3 weeks running in the country is Killing England. Bill O'Reilly, thanks for joining us.